Mike, you said to beat South Carolina, you need some Bud Walton magic, and I guess y'all got a little before the
Yeah.
tip off, but
Yeah.
then South Carolina did what they do. Just what'd you think of, how much they just keep coming at you?
Well, that's coming. Um, I took it two ways, actually, Ethan. The fact that they were willing to change their lineup to take the technical was a little bit of they're not thinking about the final score. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, but it was nice to get off to a good start. I think it propelled us. We had a good game plan. We wanted to get Miriam going, got her going. I mean, they're just that good. That's all I'm going to sit up here and tell you. I say it a bunch of different ways, but I think that's how good South Carolina is. I think we played good in moments. I think our good was good, like it's been all year, and our bad was really, really bad. But a lot of it tonight was because of them. There were very, very few things that, um, we could have stopped. I think that their ability now to shoot the ball. I it's going to sound crazy, and I don't mean any disrespect to those six kids that were on this team last year. They were a great team, but this team might be better because they're so rounded. They come at you in waves. If you think you're doing a good job on this kid, when this kid comes in, and I said it in our when you and I were talking pregame. I think their best job was what they did last year with these kids, how they kept them focused and how they kept them motivated when maybe some of their minutes were sporadic, but they're very, very good. I thought we did enough good stuff that we can go into tomorrow and start getting ready for Ole Miss without having our heads down too much. We obviously won't watch much film about this one, but there was enough positives that we can draw from it. I'll speak specifically to Jenna Lawrence. We threw her into the fire against number one. I asked her if she'd ever jumped into the fire 2 feet, and she said, I haven't. I said, where are you going to tonight? When we knew Carly was going to be out. So she's been practicing real well, has had a good year, and it was just her night tonight. I thought she played really well. So there's some things we can build from that. Hopefully get Carly Johnson back for Sunday. But we won't go home too disappointed. I know the final score gets away, but again, we try to win. We don't try to lose close, or we don't try to do something. We knew we had to make a bunch of threes. We didn't make enough to hang around after that first quarter. And then we got tired and they finished so strong. I mean, she subbed, but their subs are all McDonald's All-Americans too.
Yeah, talking about the threes, I think they made as many threes with 22 fewer attempts. How has that changed them this year? Just having so many capable shooters.
Like, to the point I said, it may make them better than they were last year because they can go 8 for 19. And quite frankly, I think they missed some that they would normally make. You cannot take anything away you can't give up anything. If you give up that, it's going to be this. If you give up this, it's going to be that. And their defense is good. Their offense is good. Their depth's good. They share the ball good. It's just, in this era when some teams are doing it the way they're doing it, I think it's good for our game that, they really only have, Tahina Pow that's transferred in. The rest of those kids are kids they recruited and kids. Cordoza a couple of years ago, but those kids were all there last year. So it's a blueprint and a formula that can continue to work. And I think they are the number one team for a reason.
And last thing I'll ask is down by 9 in the first quarter and kind of close it strong. Sam makes a 3 to make it a 4-point game, but I think they started the second quarter 14-0 run. At that point, I feel I'm sure a 14-0 run with South Carolina is a lot different than one with anybody else.
Yeah, it is, and it's demoralizing. It happens just like that. In a game when we were trying to get to the second half with knowing we only had 8 kids to use our timeouts. I thought about taking one, but we kept hanging around. But yeah, they have spurt ability. It's hard for them to keep their kids out. They've already locked up the number 1 seed. They've already all the things that they've done. I can understand why maybe they weren't as focused, but I think we got their attention, and then you could kind of see it coming. I heard Pow say a couple things on the floor that got their kids focused, and they started throwing the ball inside around the basket, and we couldn't do much with them when they got it in there.
And you mentioned, how they can hurt you in a lot of different ways. Obviously, one of those ways is their depth, 64 bench points. Can you just talk about how difficult it is to prepare for and play against a team that has that much depth?
Yeah, every one of those kids would be a starter at 99% of the other schools in the country. So that number can look like it does. It's impossible to prepare for them, to be honest with you. You can try to take something away, but again, you're rolling the dice. I think the fact that they can drive it on you and get to the foul line, they score at every single level. They can beat you with their defense. They can beat you with their offense. And I think that's what makes them such a scary team when it comes, especially when you go tournament time and people that aren't used to seeing them are going to have to face them. So, yeah, hard to prepare for. It's never a personnel scout with them, but even more so this year. It's just the position. Whoever person they put in there, they can play, and they can perform.
And you mentioned, their focus and how good they've been all year. They've won 28 games in a row, not many of them close. Can you just talk about, the focus that they have and how impressive that is and how impressive it is?
It's incredibly hard to do. I'll only flash back to a team we had when I was an assistant coach at Xavier. We were in the A-10 and we'd won like 54 straight games in the league. And we had a real hard time keeping them focused in certain games late in the year. I mean, I'm sure it doesn't happen down there. You can tell it doesn't happen. I can't imagine how competitive their practices are if they split up 5v5. It's got to be a war every day. I think they've done a good job of balancing their minutes. Their kids don't average more than 22 or 24 minutes anyway. So I think that's how they've kept kids in their roles. They've kept kids obviously playing at a really high level, but still doing it together. It's somebody different every night. You watch games and then you watch film and you get in your mind and then you watch it live. And this is one of those teams that just hits you a little bit different when you see it live. They're not one of those teams that stretch. In fact, I think they shrink their size on their roster. Like I don't think Cordoza's 6'7". I think she's bigger than that. The kids that listed at 6'2" look 6'4". The kids that are listed at 5'8" look 5'10". I just think that they're more impressive in person than they are on film. So anybody that's just watching them on TV, I'm glad we had almost 3,900 people here. I saw a lot of people trying to get pictures. I think that's what's great about this league. I wrote on our kids' cards tonight, you don't get the opportunity to play number one everywhere you go. If you come to the SEC, you're going to have a good chance of doing it. We've had to do it a bunch. And I'm glad we got a chance to stare number one down. So let's see where we stack up. But for us, we got to turn our focus to Sunday. There's a big game there. There's a lot of stuff on the line for seeding and for when we play in the SEC tournament. So, we'll get to bed tonight and then start focusing on Ole Miss tomorrow.
I guess, how do you go about doing that? Going from, no disrespect to Ole Miss, but from, the top premier team in the country to, something that has a lot more weight on the line in terms of your season as a whole.
I think I bet if you ask our kids which team in our league they watch more than anybody else, they'd probably say Ole Miss. So it'll be easy. The focus will be easy. I think our kids, again, because we talk about perspective a lot and we talk about context a lot, we're able to kind of understand reality and know that even though Ole Miss isn't ranked number one in the country, they're playing for a first round bye in the SEC tournament. So, and it's on the road, so I don't think we'll have any problem getting their attention. The main focus tomorrow will be how much, we can get done on the court. Cause again, with just 8 kids, we had, a lot of kids that had to play a lot of minutes, more than they would have played in a 37-point loss if we would have had some extra bodies. But tomorrow will be a lot of mental stuff, a lot of film watching. You watch a lot of film. You have small individual one-on-one meetings with each kid, check in with them. I already had 4 of them in the hallway out there, checking in on them, seeing how they're doing. So we have a good gauge on how much we can get done on the court tomorrow.
And then you mentioned like the repeatability of Coach Staley's, I guess, system or formula. I guess, where does that put the rest of the competition broadly as a whole, and how y'all can
throughout the country or the league?
Both, I guess.
Well, I mean, I've said it before. Somebody said, when do you think South Carolina will take a step back? And I said, not until Coach Staley and her staff are gone. Her staff has had tremendous cohesiveness too, not much turnover unless they're leaving for head coaching jobs. It's been repeatable for a number of years now. They've had great players, but when it rolls like it is, don't take it for granted. It's not easy to do. A lot of people say, well, I could coach that team, I could roll it, but they're wrong. They're really, really wrong. It's incredibly hard to do what they've done. But I think that speaks to, her place in the legacy of women's basketball. She's got to be in the conversation. certainly over the last 10, 15 years of the top coach in the top program when it comes to that. So until there's a change there, I don't see there being any letdown. I mean, the top kids are still taking a look at their system. Has proven that you don't have to average 40 points a game to be considered for professional play or the top awards. So I think the formula will continue to work. We're all trying to play catch up with them. We use them as a motivator when it comes to recruiting. They're in our league. You're going to get a chance to play against them. So I don't look forward to the games, but I am glad they are in our league and not somebody else's.
Yeah. Talk about Ole Miss. I think it's Marquisha Davis's senior day there when y'all go down there, and she's taken a big leap this year. What have you seen from her?
Maturity. We all knew Marquisha was going to be a great player when we signed her. We got to have her for a couple of years, and freshman, sophomore years are always the hardest and part of her junior year. So to see her do what she's done, no surprise to us. And I think the role that what she's done for them on offense and on defense. I think a lot of people want me to be upset about her play. I'm not. I mean, we knew that she's a great kid. She gave us 2.5 years, and the 2.5 tough years, when a kid's young. So I'm glad to see her excelling and doing well in the league, and we'll do our best to stop her, ruin her senior day. But I'll clap for her when her name gets called.